another full-length companion video to this one that explains the entire history of the modern wars fought in Afghanistan on Nebula, which you can access by signing up for the CuriosityStream Nebula Bundle deal for just $15 a year at curiositystream.com/reallifelong. And the Taliban appears to be strong. The US is withdrawing, and the Taliban appears to be stronger than ever, with control of up to 85% of the country. In 1979, the Soviet Union also invaded Afghanistan, and after 9 years, they also withdrew, and the regime they fought so hard to prop up almost immediately collapsed. And before them, the British Empire invaded Afghanistan on 3 separate occasions and failed to conquer them in each instance. Today, Afghanistan has a smaller population than California in a territory that's only a little larger than France. So how is it that a country of this small size was capable of resisting 3 of the world's most powerful military juggernauts from history? There's a lot of answers to that question, but let's start with the easiest to understand and perhaps the most obvious: geography. In reality, Afghanistan is little more than a geographical expression. All of her borders were arbitrarily drawn up by outside foreign powers more than a century ago. Its small population is composed of a loose association of 14 different ethno-linguistic groups and numerous more tribes, many of which, like the Uzbeks, Tajiks, and Pashtuns, straddle the country's borders. Artificial boundaries set up by Westerners hundreds of years ago that mean very little to them. The Pashtuns make up nearly half of Afghanistan's population today, but 2/3 of all Pashtuns live next door in neighboring Pakistan, and are a minority group there. The border between Afghanistan and Pakistan runs directly through the Pashtun tribal area and divides the 60 million Pashtun people between.
This is your champion.
Well, okay. That's clearly not me.
Let's make a choice. Land here.
Might be something good there.
Here we go. Ready up.
Oh, yeah.
Victory. The All-Father favors us today.
Attention. First blood.
Oh, someone got the party started.
I am taking fire.
Yeah, getting shot at.
Round 1. Beginning.
Puta.
I'm taking shots.
Careful. No kill leader.
Reloading.
Shots fired and they're hitting me. Reload.
Down the hostile.
Recharging shield.
What the fuck?
Marking our surroundings.
Bamboozles for the fools. That was better in my mind.
Reloading. Reloading.
Shot at. Hostile right here, right in front. I need shields. I take that back.
Scanning the area.
1 sec. Heal.
Throwing Arc Star.
They spotted me. I'm taking shots. Attention. There is a new kill leader. Getting shot at.
Knocked armor. Open that door.
Target's right in front of me.
Marking our surroundings.
Okay, okay, wait. Don't chase. Pick him
I
up.
know.
Yeah.
I will assist you.
Recharging my shields.
Recharging my shields.
Fuck it. We're keeping it.
Enemy spotted. I've been down.
Buddy.
Leave a sight.
You call to me?
Recharging.
Taking fire.
Sending out my decoy.
Taking a moment to recharge my shields.
I need shields.
My ultimate is ready.
It's all good. I got this. Wait, no, do I got this in every reality, or is this just a decoy escape deployed?
I bathe in this blood.
You got bamboozled. You got
I
bamboozled.
wanna go around here.
Strike. Taking a moment to recharge my shields.
Entering.
Target spotted.
You got bamboozled. You got bamboozled.
Enemy taken out.
Can't peek that.
Bamboozled for the foozles.
They're gonna push us. We gotta back off.
Look at you.
I'm locked down.
I'm out.
You got bamboozled.
Dying, bro. No shields. It's tough.
Enemy over there.
Might be able to go back for them though. Oh, it's almost back. Come on.
Contact. Hostile right here.
I can't loot if I wanna go get them.
All right, we're down to 50% left. Yeah, that's a pretty easy math. Shots fired and they're hitting me. Troops o'clock. I have the... You got bamboozled. Look at you. I have the banner. Someone's getting his squad back.
God damn. Wanna be picked up here?
Yeah, keep running.
Recharging shields. Sending out another me. Damn, he's good looking. Recharging shields. Bolt SMG. Alternator here.
Now for the right choice.
I return to the hunt.
Round 2. Beginning ring countdown.
Good, we're inside.
Attention. Delivering replicator.
Got a replicator coming in.
Allfather, give me sight.
We gotta move. Yep. Come this way, come this way. Zigzag.
Let's check out over there.
Copy that.
Let's check out over there.
There's a blue shield in there, where I think.
Got an Evo shield here.
R301
Level
here.
2. I could use that.
Scanning the area.
R99 here. Phoenix Kid here.
Light ammo
Thanks.
here.
See? You're helpful. when
Extended
you
energy
try.
mag here. Level 3.
I could use that.
Better check out that expanded supply bin. Just
Have
saying.
that.
Got an extended energy mag here. Level 1.
R301 here.
I guess I picked it up.
Got an extended energy mag here. Level 2.
Are you guys good? On guns and shit?
Yeah, I'm good.
What about you?
Warning. Ring movement in
I say we just wait around here until zone closes and then we'll
We
move.
are inside the ring. Good faith.
I'm just checking to see if anybody's rotating up here.
care package being delivered.
I bet that care package has some sweet gear for us. Got one spotted. Bingo! Got him!
Round 3. Beginning ring countdown.
Enemy spotted. They look small.
They're pretty far.
Replicator being delivered.
How about this way?
Replicator incoming.
You got bamboozled.
Scanning the area.
You got bamboozled.
Opening fire.
You got.
I'm taking fire.
You got bamboozled. You got.
They spotted me. I'm taking shots.
Recharging my shields.
Reloading.
I don't see them.
Getting shot at.
Need to recharge.
There's another
my
squad back here.
Let's move that way.
We need to back up here. Right to my right.
Shot fired at me. Marking our surroundings.
Give him my shield to recharge.
But alive.
Bamboozles for the fools. It works, it rhymes. Dang, looks like it's...
Back out.
Oh my ass. Fuck. Yeah, dang. No, you should have waited back there. Those first.
You and I will survive together.
Pick me, pick me, pick me. I'm so bored.
Either you're with me or you're against me. Or you're with me and against me, because that happens sometimes.
Introducing your champion.
Let's go over here.
Okay.
Pirouette! It's called a pirouette. It's not a pirouette.
Oh, you fucking son of a bitch.
Ready, set, go!
Oh my god. There's a loot goblin behind me, boys.
Yeah, now we're talking. Let's do this.
Two loot goblins. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Round 1. Beginning ring countdown.
Jesus, come on.
Next ring is not close.
Heavy ammo here. I need light ammo.
Hoo-hoo. This is how you fall.
Hands up.
Making contact here. Reloading.
Oh, that guy's one. One of them is one. You guys want to go in and punch these guys?
Target's right in front of me.
A challenger. Do you want to watch them in each
Right here?
other's corners staring? No, you want to watch them fight.
Grenade!
someone, and I don't think they're selling cookies.
I'm taking fire.
Bam to the woozle. Sending out a decoy.
Someone's cruising for a bruising in this corner, folks.
I have my ult, I can get away.
Challenge them.
Throwing thermite grenade. Down, but alive. Hostile close.
New kill leader. Soon to be me. 1 minute until close. Rings nearby. That's some champion. Hit me. Reloading. It's deuce to clock.
Oh my god, man. I should have just stayed on my R301. What was I thinking? He's one. The Octane is out here.
Not running away, just exploring here.
Rings around the corner, and we've got 30 seconds. Charging.
He healed up.
Come on.
Healing my wounds.
There's a guy down
One
here.
Healing.
He's trying to get away.
Too long.
2 guys down here, right? Finish them before they get away. They're trying to drop. One is gonna drop off. One dropped off. You gotta finish him.
In front of me.
The Octane is gonna go pick him up.
Got a bad guy.
Reloading.
Got one
Finish him.
here.
Finish him. No, don't chase. He's back up here.
I got a bad guy.
Up there.
Shooting at me.
Nice.
Firing. Can't believe I'm standing still. You're lucky I like you.
Use the map as your guide. There is movement.
And that's all of them. Good job, compadres. Reloading.
Okay.
Recharging shield.
I should have just used my R301. I would have killed him. I switched to it because I'm a dumbass. Ah, yeah, gold. Aha! Will I drop? Okay. Yeah. Our teammate isn't with us. We should wait up. We should go to Energy Depot. We should go the other way, because down the middle is hot and really open. We can hold here. See if anybody rotates. This isn't bad. Dang. People are gonna be at gardens. Do I need that? Oh, I do need that. What should I drop for it though? Fuck it. I'm a 1-8 man. Oh man, I didn't get any assists. Wonder where his teammates went. Yeah, thanks. I got it. Alright, let's back up. I want to be close. I want to be at the edge. Don't want to get flanked. Oh, coming. Maybe he's gonna push up. Hold the thing. No, just hold the thing. Oh, she had a Kraber. She one-shot me. Oh, bro, that's unfortunate. There's another. Okay. I don't know if he's gonna clutch it out. Nope. That's unfortunate. I didn't realize she had a Kraber, bro. That's tough. Played that too aggressive. Damn, man, I'm still thinking about the last game. That's fucked. How unfortunate. Oh, it's just... Is it that guy? Oh, that hit. No guns. Oh. Boom. Did he run away? Don't have a lot of bullets for this. Hey bro, I ain't got ammo for this kind of fight. Somebody on the ping? Yeah, okay. You can go there. Oh, it's that Gibby. I mean, I don't know if it's the Gibby. Oh, it is. He has white armor. It's not charged. Another one in here. No armor. Keep backing up. You have the gold shield, right? There's a guy who went that way. Go over here. Go right. There's a guy who ran this way. You're going towards a guy who. God damn! Like some fucking vultures, bro. They just swarmed us. Damn. It's unfortunate. I thought. Bro, I'm a fucking absolute moron, dog. Oh my god. Okay. I understand why it keeps muting it. Settings. Hotkeys. There we go.
I am more prepared than you know. Good luck. Have fun. Don't die.
Not gonna lie, I'm pretty good at this. Okay, I do lie, but not this time.
This is your champion.
Oh,
Oh yeah, master of the jump.
damn.
Right here.
It's a lot of responsibility.
Just picking a place.
Follow the leader.
Are you serious, man? What is my aim, bro? There's just one guy over here. I don't know. He's gonna pick up his friend in this corner. Goddamn. Alright. I'm gonna take a break from the game. I wanna watch something. We'll get some food. I'll be back.
both countries. This boundary was artificially decided by the British Empire back in 1893, and to date, not a single government based in Afghanistan has ever officially ratified it. Imagine if in Europe, Poland was divided between Germany and Russia, and a wall was built directly between both sides of where the Poles live. Obviously, the Poles would never recognize this border and routinely cross it to visit family and friends. And the Pashtuns largely treat the Afghan-Pakistan border the very same way. The border here is extremely mountainous and rural, so patrolling it from the Pakistani government's perspective has always been quite challenging. This has allowed Pashtun insurgents operating within Afghanistan the valuable ability to easily escape across the border into the friendly Pashtun areas of Pakistan, regroup and recover, recruit more men, and then travel back into Afghanistan freshly supplied and ready for more combat. Neither the Afghan border nor the Taliban recognize this border as legitimate, and there are at least 235 known crossing points across the border and through the mountains between both countries. Militants, drugs, money, and supplies can easily be smuggled into Afghanistan by way of Pakistan, and it's made all the easier by many of the Pashtuns of Pakistan being more sympathetic to the Afghan or Taliban cause. This has led many people to label the Afghan-Pakistan border as the most dangerous border in the entire world. And recently, as a result of all of this, by the end of June 2021, Pakistan has finally finished building a fence across the entire length of the border, specifically to stop all of this, and has restricted border crossings to only 16 legally designated locations. But this is all only the start of what makes Afghanistan an almost impossible place to conquer. I mean, just look at the map. Afghanistan is landlocked, so getting your troops and supplies there requires the cooperation of at least one of the 6 countries that borders it: Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, China, and of course Pakistan. But even once you get across one of these countries and you arrive at Afghanistan's borders, you're going to be met with Afghanistan's monumentally challenging terrain. Despite being in the center of the world's most populous continent, Afghanistan has always been heavily isolated and largely rural and underpopulated because of this: the high peaks of the Hindu Kush mountain range with some of the tallest and biggest mountains found anywhere on the planet. 75% of Afghanistan's territory is considered to be mountainous, and nearly half of our territory has an elevation above 2,000 meters, which makes Afghanistan among the most mountainous countries of the world, and among the most isolated too as a result. These huge mountains act like natural walls in more ways than one. They help to keep invaders out, but they also separate communities within and make transporting supplies across challenging. These are all very difficult factors to overcome from the perspective of any outside invader. There are dozens of valleys that zigzag in between the mountains of Afghanistan where most of the population resides. And since they're surrounded by some of the biggest and most formidable mountains on Earth, it's always been difficult to travel between them, and consequently, they're each sort of their own little world inside of Afghanistan. Over thousands of years, they each ended up developing their own rather distinctive cultures, identities, beliefs, tribes, and rulers, and thus, there's very little sense of Afghan nationhood, and Afghan patriotism has never been a particularly strong motivating factor. Because of all these separate and rural communities that are difficult to travel between, the grip of any central government has always been weak and intermittent, while the valleys have largely governed themselves autonomously, especially in the countryside. Any semblance of Afghan national unity has always been a direct consequence of foreign powers invading and attempting to impose their rule over the whole, like with the British, Soviets, and recently Americans. Historically, and up to the present day to an extent, Afghanistan continues to operate in a way that's more similar to the Holy Roman Empire than the European Union. The ruler in the capital city, Kabul, may nominally wield de jure authority over the entire realm, like the Holy Roman Emperor, but is not able to wield de facto authority over all of the various princes, valleys, tribes, and clans, just like the Holy Roman Emperor. Any invader coming in to occupy Afghanistan will struggle with all of the same issues that a domestic ruler will. Afghanistan's geography is not very conducive to a centralized authority, and neither is Afghanistan's infrastructure. Enforcing your authority across the various Afghan valleys means that you must move your troops and supplies from one to another through the various mountain passes that are often narrow and incredibly easy positions to set up an ambush in as a defender. These passes basically act like natural choke points for the movement of people all across Afghanistan, and up until the 1960s, there were hardly even any roads to speak of that went through them. Control over just a few of these mountain passes can ensure control over an entire valley, and sabotaging one can block the flow of supplies and troops for days, weeks, or even longer depending upon the severity of the damage. When the Soviets invaded the country, the Mujahideen defenders would ambush Soviet convoys as they traveled through these passes, and then immediately flee back and vanish into the caves of the mountains when they were fired back upon. They would set up roadblocks at river crossings or in other passes, and in some instances were successful enough to block entire roads for months or even years. The town of Khost near the Pakistan border was permanently sealed off from the rest of the country for the entire war by the Mujahideen, sabotaging a series of strategic roads, and the government forces blocked inside could only be supplied by air. And when the Americans invaded, these passes were just as vital. Most significant for them was the Khyber Pass here, the easiest and most direct path through the Hindu Kush between the Indian subcontinent and Central Asia. This path has been used for thousands of years by conquerors, traders, and missionaries all alike, and is without a doubt one of the most strategic locations to hold on the entire planet. At one point, nearly 80% of all NATO and US supplies that were being brought into Afghanistan by road were all coming through the Khyber Pass via Pakistan, which is kind of ironic because most of the Taliban's equipment were also coming from across the border in Pakistan, just at different and more rural crossing points. The Taliban knew how critically important the Khyber Pass was to the American war effort, so it was a frequent target of sabotage efforts. In 2009, the Taliban blew up a bridge here that temporarily shut down the entire pass, and America was forced to broaden their supply lines into Afghanistan through the 3 Central Asian bordering countries as well. In the years before all of this war, the Afghan government had attempted to build a circular highway that would connect all of their major economic centers together. But over the decades of civil war and Soviet intervention, the highway was in very bad shape. By the time the United States invaded in 2001, there were only a mere 50 kilometers of paved roads to speak of in the entire country that's bigger than France. For comparison, France has 1.1 million kilometers of paved roads in a smaller and significantly less mountainous territory. The lack of good roads only made the disparate valleys and communities of the Afghan interior even more isolated from each other, and it made transporting troops and supplies a logistical nightmare for the Americans and the Soviets before them, none of which helped at all for the country's stability. As with all things in Afghanistan, the development of new roads is difficult and expensive because of the harsh mountainous terrain, the cold winter weather that often chews roads up, and sabotage from the Taliban and other insurgents. Building or repairing roads in the country necessitates hiring security and necessitates building them across harsh geography and climates, which means that it can get incredibly expensive, as much as $5 million per mile in some locations. And this is all in a country where the average person only makes a little over $500 a year, one of the poorest and least developed nations on the planet. The construction of a single mile of road within Afghanistan is about the combined annual wages of 9,800 Afghanis. So, obviously, the funding for all of these projects has to come from abroad. Ultimately, Afghanistan is easy to invade and take over, but it's almost impossible to effectively hold it for long. The landscape is huge, with a lot of rural and empty places for insurgents and rebels to hide. Getting troops in and establishing supply lines through massive mountains and narrow passes is challenging and easy for guerrilla combatants to harass and disrupt. The relationship with neighboring Pakistan is complex, and Pashtun insurgents can easily cross the border and regroup without much fear, and then return to fight in Afghanistan whenever ready. The flow of insurgent supplies, money, and manpower across the border is difficult to stop through the hundreds of high and remote mountain passes, and requires the cooperation of Pakistan, which she is sometimes willing to give and other times not. Centralized rule is almost impossible to enforce outside of Kabul by way of Afghanistan's geographic reality, and a nation building is inherently impossible because even the concept of an Afghan nation among Afghanistan's various ethnicities and tribes is tenuous at best, and certainly radically different from the Western idea of nation-states such as Germany or France. The colonial-era borders of Afghanistan dictated by the British over a century ago are probably the biggest core reason for Afghanistan's instability, but Afghanistan has been particularly unstable even by former British colonial meddling standards. For the past 43 years, Afghanistan has been embroiled in constant warfare, and it's an incredibly complex story to tell. From a communist revolution that enforced state atheism in one of the most conservative and religious countries on the planet, to an invasion and occupation by the Soviet Union, 3 subsequent civil wars, and then the invasion of the Americans and NATO, and the United States occupation that's all set to finally end after nearly 20 years in about a month from now. It is one of the most fascinating, violent, and controversial conflicts of both the 20th and 21st centuries, and unfortunately, not acceptable for me to cover on YouTube due to their terms of service. I know how making videos on YouTube works, and I know that this video already has a super high chance of being demonetized and unpromoted by YouTube's algorithm because of what I'm discussing. But the moment that I really start diving into the whole history of the Afghan conflicts, why they began, how they were fought, and how it all led to where we are today, it's a guarantee that this video will be censored and you won't get to see it. So instead, I created another full-length companion video to this one with all of that controversial but fascinating information included, and uploaded that version to Nebula, which, as you've probably heard by now, is home to tons of exclusive ad-free content like my entire Modern Conflict series, with additional full-length videos you can go watch right now detailing the Israel-Palestine conflicts, the 2020 Armenia-Azerbaijan war, and the ongoing Russo-Ukraine war in the Donbass. Of course, the reason why all of these videos are
This is pretty disgusting. This guy's kitchen. See, there's his cooking stuff. There are his woks on the wall. Is his toilet. Toilet and kitchen in one. See, they're even like vegetables and stuff here ready, and eggs ready to be prepared. It's gross, dude. It's fucking gross.
So you must be wondering about that clip. What's going on there? Well, this was a guy's kitchen, part of a small restaurant that I went to actually. And this is where the guy obviously goes to the bathroom, washes his dishes, washes the vegetables and stuff that he cooks, and everything all in one. This is not the first time I've seen this, by the way. And this wasn't even in some backwater area. This was a provincial level city in Guangdong in the south of China called Heyuan. I used to go there a lot with my friends because it has some of the best motorcycle riding roads around this massive big reservoir. And the city's actually pretty good at night. It lights up, it's very pretty, it's got all these colorful lights and things, and it's fairly advanced for a provincial level city. To be honest, I've actually seen better looking toilets in more rural areas, for instance, like here in Jiangxi, where we went to this fantastic little rural restaurant run by some amazing people who obviously saw the value in hygiene and cleanliness, because not only was their bathroom spick and span, but everything about their entire operation was very impressive, because usually you don't find this kind of thing out in the sticks in China. But here's the thing, guys. First of all, pit toilets are pit toilets. They're all over Asia. China, it's the majority of toilets that you find, especially public toilets, are pit toilets. It doesn't matter what city you're in. I mean, here's a clip from Beijing that I took in 2019. Well, if you're here taking a dump, no one is ever going to have privacy, that's for sure. At least they have a Western style toilet at the end here. Must be for all the foreigners who come here. But that is a men's bathroom. This is a Beijing hutong, and these bathrooms have been remodeled because the hutongs are these kind of old style alleyway living areas. People don't have bathrooms inside of their little houses, so they share bathrooms, and also the public uses these bathrooms. Now, this is not a video to say whether pit toilets are better than Western toilets or Western toilets are, the sit-down type are better than pit toilets, because you can go into the fanciest of apartment buildings or restaurants in China and you will find pit toilets because it's a preferred type of toilet for most Chinese people. That's how they grew up. It is in some ways more hygienic because you don't need to sit on a seat. You kind of just hover above the toilet, that kind of thing. And so it's not about what kind of toilet is better, but it's more about the state, really, of a lot of these public bathrooms. And I think you can tell a lot about a society by the toilets. I know that sounds weird, but this really gives you a no-nonsense look at Chinese society, because public toilets are the great equalizer. We're not dealing with super rich people with their fancy apartments and fancy hotels. We're not dealing with dirt poor people with poor houses and their poor hotels or lack of being able to stay in hotels. We're dealing with public toilets. Now, these are the toilets you find across the entire country. This is not a provincial thing. You find these really, I don't know, for lack of a better word, just wild public bathrooms in the north, in the south, in the east, in the west. And sometimes I think that's maybe one of the reasons why the grandmothers and the parents prefer to take their kids just to go and take a piss in the street or whatever, because nobody wants to go in those bathrooms unless they really have to. Now, of course, you do get nice public bathrooms in shopping malls and things like that, but for instance, the one you're looking at right now was actually part of a fairly normal gas station, surrounded by beautiful scenery and things like that. And perhaps an even better example of this is this really nice, normal, clean-looking gas station that we stopped at, where you can see everything looks normal. We had a lot of fun talking to the people there. Everyone was great and friendly, and it all looked very nice from the outside. It's even got a nice shiny plaque. But when you enter the bathroom, this is what you see. Let's take a look at this truck stop. Oh, God, this is gross. This is, wow. Oh, wow. This is bad. The smell is just, oh my word. Oh, that's just disgusting. I'm out of here. Whoa. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Now, something that's always struck me as being very odd is China's embrace of new technology, but at the same time using very, medieval practices when it comes to personal hygiene, to be fair. I don't know if there's a better word for that, backwards. But, you'll very often see a grandmother or a parent allowing their child to urinate or defecate in public into a drain or a rubbish bin or something like that. See what this lady's doing next to me? She's trying to make the kid take a leak. Right next to me. This is my foot, that's her foot. That's what the whistling thing is. For those of you who are wondering whether this is a common phenomenon or not, well, most infant clothing, the pants actually don't close at the back. It's got a split down the middle, split pants. It's bizarre because you'll walk around in China and see a lot of babies' asses hanging out the back of their pants, and it's simply because it allows easy access. It's still fairly uncommon for children to wear diapers in China. This is for practicality reasons, but there's also a lot of traditional belief. A lot of the grandparents think that diapers are actually bad for the health of the baby. And I suppose you don't get nappy rash if you're never wearing, or diaper rash if you're never wearing a diaper, right? But here's the weird thing. China really is a very advanced country right now anyway. Everybody is embracing all the latest in technology, all the cashless payments and all the fancy cities and the way the government can monitor every step you take, all the cameras everywhere, all the apps on your phone that tell you that you've had a COVID screening, all that kind of thing. But it's just such a weird contrast because you've got this outer image which is very shiny and very high tech and very, forward looking, but yet underneath that you still have a very backward sanitation system. The toilets cannot accept tissue paper or anything, so you're not actually allowed to flush anything down the toilets. That's why you always find a rubbish bin next to the toilets filled with, for lack of a better word, soiled tissues. all public bathrooms do not have toilet paper. There's a reason for this, because it just gets stolen by the lost generation. So that's another thing which is very odd and frustrating when you're traveling around China, living in China, is a public bathroom will 99% of the time not have any kind of toilet paper. So you have to bring your own tissues along with you everywhere you go. I've even stayed in hotels where there's no toilet paper, like this fantastic example where, well, for whatever reason, they have a very, I don't know what you'd call that, tasteful, tasteless picture. I'll go with tasteless picture of a young woman on the wall. But yeah, there was no toilet paper in here, so that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes when you're traveling around China. But what's the point? What's the point of this whole video? Why am I showing you these toilets in China, these wild toilets? Well, that's because it's a real thing. You know, I don't need to do this. I do this every time. I tell everyone how much I love the people of China and how much I love China. I mean, it's self-evident. If you have watched any of my videos, you'll know that China's been a massive part of my life, still is a massive part of my life, and I do love China very much. But I am going to criticize China where it needs to be criticized. And in one aspect, it's definitely when it comes to the hygiene of the toilets and toilets in general. I mean, like I said, you can tell a lot about a society by the toilets. And when I visited Japan, for instance, I didn't once come across a toilet that was in bad shape. All the toilets that I came across had like impeccable, like high-tech bidets built in. It was fantastic. You know, you had this thing where when you flush, you can wash your hands from, you know, the cistern up there, all this kind of stuff. And traveling through America in the worst desert parts of Arizona, where I could pull into like a little desert place and they have a public bathroom, there was toilet paper in that bathroom. Heck, even in South Africa, if you go to the rural parts where you go into some kind of any kind of a public toilet, there's usually toilet paper there. China really needs to catch up when it comes to its toilets and the habits surrounding it. And I understand the challenges that are involved here, especially with the lost generation and the idea that if it's a public facility, no one cares about it, no one takes any kind of notice whether it's in a terrible shape. That's also why you have such a big littering problem and a maintenance issue. But I do want to call China out on this. China, your public bathrooms are disgusting, and I'm saying that in the nicest way possible. I've seen a couple that are okay, but still worse than pretty much everywhere else in the world that I've been to. So, guys, that's it for this video. Hope it didn't gross you out too much. I do, of course, have more of these toilet videos that I've taken. It's not like it was a hobby of mine or anything, but it's just one of those things that as I was traveling around, if I came across anything particularly shocking, I'd usually film it. But I'm going to just leave you with some nice footage of sort of nice, clean shopping malls in China, just to balance it.
Blasting them. I think we're in a game with like Turner.
Hangers over there.
Ammo down.
Targeting me.
I just got fried. I have no plates.
Yeah, it's like Pie Man simming them.
Oh, I gotta
go around. Oh wait, never mind.
Sort them out or capture the objective.
Why does Cam Soda have a command in the stream? We delete that command. Why does Cam have a... What? Mods! 4-4. I have an ammo box.
Need. Come here.
Love it when you roll up at me like that. Do you have a knife?
Up back hangers.
A knife! No!
Lodi over here too.
You have a knife and a Bruin? I respect it.
Yeah.
Is that obsidian?
Hey, did you say
Overtime. Right above you.
They got Lodi here.
Right above you, absolute. Dead.
Plane.
Oh, you crate?
Oh, it's Marshall.
White crate one, white crate one.
So screwed. Yep.
I was calming, bro. Calming. I loved it. Cracked.
One shot on me.
One.
Oh, UAV.
This guy's a custom stoner class. I respect it. Donnie,
Somebody
it's
give me a
Jerome.
Jerome.
It's Jerome. It's Jerome. Jerome, come back here.
He's a howdy, super.
Wait, should we tell it? Wait, guys.
You're going to hang out with Jerome. We're going over here.
Okay.
Tell Jerome we said hi.
Should I tell Jerome to go kill Symphony?
Yes. A little f***ed up, but I'm on my way.
Pretty. Honestly, at this point, who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
I'm
basically, that man.
Nice.
I literally was thinking, I'm like, I hope Jerome doesn't run me over. I'm like, wait, he knows exactly where I am. He's not gonna run me over. Oh, the heli. Full team on the heli. What?
Where?
Next to me. They're all spraying Jerome. Little do they know. That's the worst mistake. Now? Okay, wait. They're doing the thing. I'm pretty sure.
We're coming.
Could just be the lads.
Where are they at? Oh, I see them, bro. Oh my God, they're coming at you. Merc, I'm throwing this.
Where are they?
Throwing it.
Guys, Pride, close. Pride deep as well. Down. Guys, one shot. Guys, one shot. Live. Inside stun, can't see. Back left. Dead. Okay, two are gonna be selfing.
Did you just get a bunch of fulls?
Yeah, I think they're all dead.
Oh, nice.
You just shot it all.
Those guys just got
There's a red
fucking
door
smoked.
behind me.
I respect the fuck out of that play, boys. Oh, that's crazy. I mean, what?
There's a bunch at Array.
Yeah, that's where I literally am rolling up to right now.
Why are you so ready for that?
Marking waypoint.
Thank you, man.
Jerome said there might be a cheater that he died to earlier.
Jerome, how are you dying to these cheaters?
Yeah, Jerome. Yeah,
Lock it the fuck in.
Can't be getting out.
I killed Aiden.
I died to this guy? I died to this guy.
Team chop.
Killed Aiden, 5 head.
There's so many at V. There's like 2 or 3 old teams. Yeah.
There was a whole team at Array too.
We unmarked that Mac 10.
Really up top, right here. So what?
Okay.
It's the same fucking guys that from Hangar. I should have won.
What's your right house? In an attic?
Guy really gets out of the fucking vehicle behind me. It's a random solo player, man. Oh, his teammate's right there.
Contact. Marking waypoint.
Back. Guy's running far edge of zone. I want to kill that guy because his rose skin slide canceling his cock off, which means he's probably doing the thing.
Still in factory and have to rotate from a burger.
I'm gonna die going for this. I can feel it in my titties.
I'll come look at you with my dick. I mean, look over here. Bro, actually.
Is that the fucking Asian team?
That's the Asian team. They're sending Lodi.
These guys. They're my kryptonite, bro. They got me every time.
Keep it looking over you. See, that guy's one. Challenge that. We rest? We can. I'm dropping money on buy.
Don't worry about it, though. You guys are separate. That should help TP, honestly.
I'm dropping money on buy.
If you guys get to TP, you win the game.
Alright, second floor in the staircase and one's low right. Gotta try and work towards you.
Okay. I'm gonna get on top piece then. Nick, we need you over here.
I am in a fight.
We have a precision as well. He could have worked to your right already, clock, like into the hangar, but he was around the titty, like where the ladder is.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I've been right out here. Keep out of here. Down there.
Get a move on. Head to the safe zone.
Where's the second one factory still?
He's in
Oh,
car.
yeah, car.
Cracked him.
I think there's a team in there on them.
I think it's two.
They're fighting.
Oh yeah, you went.
Okay, I just got sniped at from somewhere.
That's the last.
There's two people in cop.
Okay, one guy's out really, really deep, really far. Under me. Wait, that's you. I'm gonna wait. Okay.
In the hangar.
Okay. Yeah, one's. He missed it faster. Okay, one's really far deep, baiting his teammate. One's close, but I think the guy was close to dead. I do have precision too. I could precision inside.
What's your left, Nick? You can get sniped from the hangar door. That's where they're at. Yeah.
I got precision.
Gas is closing. Get to the new safe zone.
I see it.
My deep.
Like hangar door
What
me.
the fuck is this game, bro?
Got the guy in UT. There's a guy's hangar.
This game is so bad. I just got, I'm good. I got precision in the bathroom.
There's a guy police is too.
Deep.
Under you talk.
Come on, Dot.
In on you.
Hit Daddy.
Above me too. Armor off, one bullet.
Nice. Hit Daddy above me, Daddy.
I'm looking at you.
Okay, I'm gonna precision. Run.
Airstrike target designated.
Trying to jump out this way. With 2 stuns. Shit. Last guy's cop, right? Oh, shit.
Dude. Bro, I thought it was a real player the whole time, bro. I'm playing this guy. Fuck.
Beach.
Cocky was running through a maze over there trying to stay alive, bro.
Bro, I got precision in the house. And it was just, I was just fucking mad.
Wow, wala akong tinatama. Seriously? Kita mo yung buong clip ko? Walang tumama kahit isa? What?
Hello winners, it's Allow86 here with another video, and I could quite possibly not have picked a better boomer chair in the entire world. Now, everyone's heard the OK Boomer meme, and although it's been going on for quite some time now, it's now beginning to transcend cultures, and that's actually what I really find interesting. Now, I was walking around my parents' house, and I was overwhelmed with the amount of boomer swag around here. Like stuff I would never consider purchasing or decorating in my own house. But this stuff, I completely ignored it growing up, right? First, I gotta say for the non-American viewers, there's a bunch of you guys on my channel. If you're not familiar with the term boomer, it means baby boomer, which means an American person that was born around 1940s all the way up until the mid-1960s. And these kind of people were the people that kind of enjoy the post-World War II boom. And it's argued that life was super easy for this generation of people. These people arguably didn't have to go through the struggles that their parents had to, or the post generation, the people that came after the boomers, the kind of struggles and hard work that they had to go through, because life was just so simple. Everything was cheap, and a factory worker could buy a house, like after a year's salary, provide for their entire family, and basically reap the benefits of what the country was going through before destroying it for everybody else. That's the argument, at least. Here's a quote from a guy named Bruce Gibney. He actually wrote a book on this whole thing. He says, "The boomers inherited a rich, dynamic country, and they've gradually bankrupted it. They habitually cut their own taxes and borrowed money without any concern from future burdens. They've spent virtually all our money and assets on themselves, and in the process have left a financial disaster for their children." So this meme spawned out of the fact that boomers are stereotypically out of touch with reality, since life was so easy for them. So when a cringe-worthy or tone-deaf remark was made, it could be countered with the phrase, "Okay, boomer." However, it's transcended age now, and people in my generation can get the "okay, boomer" retort. I'll give you an example. A modern example would be maybe something my generation would say. "Why are video games so uninspired now? Kids nowadays will never know the depth and joy of the original Zelda." To which they would get, "Okay, boomer." Because video games are immeasurably better in a lot of ways today, even though I still like the old stuff. Unfortunately, the OK Boomer meme has never taken off in China, and I attribute that to the importance of filial piety, or like the respect of the older generation. You have to respect older people. However, that does not mean that there's no animosity between generations. I would argue that the animosity, or the differences, the cultural divide between the boomers of China and the current generations of today is way, way, way bigger than anything that we have here in the US. Now let me go in and pick apart actually what a Chinese boomer is. I'll do the male and female variants with some other twists and turns along the way. The Chinese boomer is about the same age, if not slightly older, than the American boomer. They grew up in a time where the leader of China, Mao Zedong, made it super uncool to be smart. So the first divide of the boomers that actually had to suffer through poverty and famine and all those horrible things under Mao's, communist China. Then you have the other people that were rich or connected enough to kind of escape this, forced farming and all the horrors that Mao put on his own people. At the same time, both the rich and the poor are both really, really supportive of the Communist Party of China. That's the weirdest thing. That's the first thing we have to address. They'll say things like, Mao made our new China and we must always uphold the party's ideals. These people may have lived in impoverished China, but they were also the first people to benefit from the torrent of riches that were bestowed upon them when China opened up to free trade in 1979. They're the ones that celebrate the communist songs and dances and war fantasies where China single-handedly defeated everyone in the entire world and made their country what it is today. Our China, our great China. But this is what a Chinese male boomer is like. A Chinese male boomer smokes, and he smokes a lot, like more than you might think is humanly possible. It's always necessary that a Chinese male boomer has a pack of cigarettes on him, but not just any kind of cigarette. That's the thing. A Chinese male boomer has got to flex. He's got to show that he's got enough money for good cigarettes, because the whole ritual in China, you pass cigarettes out to people. So like when you meet other male boomers, you have to offer a cigarette, and if they see that you have a 50-cent pack of Baisha, it's actually named after like Chairman Mao's hometown. If you're passing those out, you're gonna lose a ton of face. So you wanna be carrying around the top dog, and that is Zhonghua. Zhonghua is like $6-7 a pack. It's so important, in fact, it's literally currency. Like if you wanna win favors, or you wanna pull a corrupt bribe, or you just want like someone to like you, it's common to give like an entire carton of Zhonghuas because they're so expensive. And people will keep those and like pass them around, and like this circle never stops. It's like this bribe circle, Also, the Chinese male boomer will often be seen sporting a Beijing bikini. For those of you not in the know, the Beijing bikini is when you roll up your shirt to expose your belly. And the bigger the belly, the better. If you ask the young generation if it's cool to be fat, they would absolutely disagree. They would say that's unhealthy, they want to be trim, they want to be athletic. But the older generation, these boomers, they want to show off that fat belly because they're coming from famine times. And back then, keep in mind, like famine times, if you were well fed, that means you were well off. You're going to get face, your family's got food, everyone else is starving to death. So when you're a male boomer walking around China, you want to show off this belly. You also want to stay cool in the summer because they believe that the heat exits through your stomach. And you're going to show that off. You're going to roll that shit up and you're going to show everybody your belly. But it's not just the way you roll up your shirt, it's also the way you pose. You have to be flexing on a fool. When you're in China, you cannot be standing around all like, oh, I'm just standing here with my hands to my side or in my pockets. No. That's some beta shit, dude. You have to stand like a leader. You gotta have your two hands behind your back, standing like you don't give a shit. You have to be staring at something, looking semi-interested, but also like you're presiding over the situation. That is a power pose. That is how you flex on a fool in China. While some boomers are gonna have enough money to, wear the gaudiest of Gucci or Louis Vuitton, like seriously just throwing their money out on all these like fashionable brands and stuff, the average boomer is obviously not gonna have enough money to do that, but they still wanna retain that kind of semblance of pizzazz, that semblance of like, look at how much money I got. Look at my drip. Look at my flex. So they'll often go for like more expensive homegrown brands, like Chinese brands. And the one that really stuck out to me was called Sept Wolves, which is like 7 wolves. In Chinese, it was called Qipilang. It was like a straight up fashion like tyranny. They owned everything. Like you could buy Sept Wolf cigarettes, you could buy Sept Wolf socks, pants, shoes, everything. But the traditional like Chinese boomer male like power flex outfit would be like a short sleeve, tucked in, shiny ass like dress shirt, tucked into like shiny kind of billowing dress pants. It's difficult to explain. I'll have to show it on screen. Usually with white socks, like they never knew to put on black socks, like when they're trying to dress up. And they usually have like some off-brand like leather loafers or dress shoes. That is like the leader look. That's the CCP look. That means you're probably some sort of official, or you know someone like that, you're in that circle. But the more casual Chinese boomer will wear these like sports polos, usually in like neon colors, like 3 or 4 sizes too big. And they'll just be like flowing or whatever, and they'll wear like shorts, like khaki shorts, maybe some cargo shorts, and usually some like leather sandals. Now, what would a Chinese boomer be without that long ass pinky nail? You do not, and I repeat, you do not be a Chinese male boomer walking around China with short ass fingernails. You do not do that. You do not have rough hands either, because that's peasant class shit. That means that back in the day, when it was super poor and everyone was a farmer, that means you're still doing that. You haven't grown out of that, right? You want to show everybody that you don't do shit. You don't use your hands to work. So you grow that pinky nail out, and you can use it to dig out earwax, which is often what it's used for. Or you can just flex while you're driving. You can hang it out when you're driving your Volkswagen Santana, or, you know, if you're like a super rich Chinese boomer, you're driving like a S-Class Mercedes, but always with the smallest engine option. Like, doesn't matter how much money you have, you will always buy the smallest engine in China in your luxury car, because like fuel economy, bruh. Now I want to make a little note here. I've often said, and like everyone often says, that like Chinese drivers are bad, and that's just not true. Because what it is Chinese boomers are bad at driving, because they're still from that kind of corrupt, connected society. So when they kind of unleashed cars onto the streets of Beijing or wherever around China, they're the ones that bought their licenses, right? They didn't take the test, so they don't know how to drive, and they still don't know how to drive. And they carry on that inherited license, right? Whereas the young kids in China have to study. Like, it's pretty hard, actually. The driver's test is hard. It takes a long time. The written test is pretty hard. So they're the ones screwing up the streets. Now, with all the cigarette smoking, do not expect the Chinese boomer to have white teeth. That is not an attribute that is like celebrated in China, especially in that age generation. So a Chinese boomer's second favorite hobby, I would say actually it's just as important, paired with smoking, is drinking tea. And every like Chinese boomer is gonna have in their living room this massive wooden tea table where they're gonna pour tea with all their friends. They're gonna sit around, they're gonna do nothing, they're just gonna talk to each other, usually in like generalizations or grand statements, while smoking and drinking tea. And you can't just have some bargain basement pour tea. You have to flex and show like what bag of tea, what brand it is, where it comes from. So a lot of these people will like go to great lengths to get the most expensive teas. Some of this stuff costs like $10,000 for like a full bag of it, you know. But there's actually one where like the girls that pick the tea have to use their mouths and then like put the leaves in like a tiny basket around their neck. And the girls have to be virgins too. If you see a Chinese boomer bust like that tea out, then they're definitely flexing on you or trying to impress you. Now, when they're pouring all this tea around this wooden tea table, they're always sitting on like really hideous, uncomfortable, expensive mahogany or like expensive wood furniture. It can never be comfortable. The more comfortable the furniture is, like the lower class you are. It has to be like super, super uncomfortable. Your ass bone has to hurt when you stand up. I don't know what this is, but it's always a flex when you have expensive wooden hard furniture. And when they're sitting around here, they're usually talking to each other, right? So this is the conversation. These are some of the quotes that you'll often hear a Chinese male boomer say. Japan is so small, they're so weak. America used to be great, but our China is so strong now. China's development is so fast. Kids nowadays don't know how easy their life is, and the irony is completely lost when they're sitting around in their property that they bought from like the government when it privatized for like $1,000 and it's now worth millions. Now, this is more like a southern China thing. If you're in central or northern China, you replace the tea with like baijiu, which is a super strong Chinese like rice alcohol, or it's made of sorghum actually. And you increase the volume of their voices and sprinkle a little violence in there too. And sometimes just completely remove the shirts from the equation. No more Beijing bikini. I'm talking about just take the shirt off. Because like when they get drunk, they often like to do that. Sometimes they'll throw punches, sometimes they'll scream at each other, sometimes they just bro around and hug. But yeah, north or south is pretty much the same scenario. Different beverages, different kind of volume in the room. Now during this conversation, when you see Chinese male boomers talk to each other, they'll be throwing around these general phrases or whatever. It's all about like not being super direct, right? You just say stuff that's not going to offend the table. But oftentimes it'll be broken up by the ritual of passing out the cigarettes, but also by phone calls, right? So a lot of Chinese male boomers want to pretend like they're important. So what they'll do is they'll actually have like fake phone calls. They'll be like giving orders over the phone or whatever. More often than not, they'll actually call a subordinate and put him on speakerphone. So like blasting out the entire restaurant or the table or whatever. And they'll like shout orders down to them. Be like, do this, get this paper on my desk, or go run and buy this for me or something. Just to flex to the other Chinese boomers that they have so much authority over these people. So they'll often like either manufacture or wait for the perfect moment when they're around their boomer friends to show off. Now the final calling card of the Chinese male boomer is the fight at the bill, right? So when they go out to dinner and they're drinking, or they go out and they have to pay for a bill for something, right? Usually it's a meal. It's very, very important that that person pays for the bill. If you're responsible for paying the bill, you got all the face. And face is literally a currency in China, especially with the boomer generation. They love face. So if you footed the bill, if you paid for everyone kind of owes you something, like cosmically owes you something right now. And there's always a fight. Like people will be tussling, slapping, pushing each other out of the way, you know, like trying to take the money out of their hand and put it to the side and then put their own money on the bill, like at the cashier or whatever. But the smartest boomer, the classy boomer, what they'll do is they'll excuse themselves to the bathroom and then pay before everyone's even ready to pay, right? So then they completely get away with it and everyone's like, oh, he got away with it this time. But everyone's kind of like shifty. When it's getting close to the end of the meal, like Chinese male boomers will be like looking at each other, just waiting, seeing, making sure no one's pulling out money from under the table and like excusing themselves. So like people are pretty adept at figuring that out. Now the female Chinese boomer is a little bit different. Like these spheres don't usually mix. Whereas you'll see like couples, like American couples, like boomer couples, they'll all hang out with each other. Of course they'll have their male and female friends, but like the gender divide is not great like in China.
Now, one thing that either Chinese or American boomers ever had was internet security. Well, they never had the internet back then anyway. But anyway, I digress. In this day and age where everyone is online on their phones and their computers pretty much 24/7, it's super important that you keep your data safe. And to do that, you need to use a VPN. Not only does a VPN cross the world, jump the great, not have the world, see different stuff, get better deals on plane tickets, all this kind of stuff. And I choose NordVPN for the VPN that I use when I travel and even when I'm at home. NordVPN is super easy to use. You can hop around to all different servers around the world. The coupon code, get 2 amazing man. Thanks.
Those like big square dance things. It's not like cowboy rodeo, southern, western, whatever square dance. I'm talking about like in the city square. In every Chinese city, there's a massive square. It's like a communist thing to make people feel small and insignificant. So you'll have all these women kind of doing these choreographed dances to like really shitty Chinese like techno or whatever. And it's very like low effort dancing, but it's really cool to see, you know, at the beginning, because you're like, dude, I don't think my grandma could get out of her chair and do that, you know? So anyway, these boomer IEs, what they'll do, they're called IEs, by the way. IE kind of means ant, so I'm gonna be calling them IEs from now on. Now boomer IEs, when they congregate, they'll have their own group. And I've seen some rival groups like go off on each other. Like the Red Suns, I remember they were the ones in my city. They seriously, they commanded the most respect. If you were in the Red Suns, dude, you effed up everyone on in that square. But anyway, what you do when you go there is you flex and you use your kids to flex. So they'll be like, my son got into this school. My son married this woman. My son bought this house in this part of town for this much money. My son drives this car. And they're much more like bragging about their kids, and they're using their kids as like a possession. So like if their kids did something great or like is really well accomplished or got some high government position, that's their accomplishment as well. So that's what they like to do. But I'd say their favorite hobby would be like bargaining for stuff at the wet market. So you could have a Chinese IE boomer that has literally made like hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars on property because it was just like landed in their lap basically. But they still have the same perm, they still have the same short perm haircut, they still dress the same, they still look like a peasant IE from back in the day. But they go to the wet market, they have all this money in the bank, and they're still bargaining like for 1 RMB, like 10 cents or whatever, off of a piece of pork or some vegetables or whatever. Because what they can do then is when they see their other boomer friends at the wet market, they can brag because that vendor is now going to charge them that price in the future. So if they're like buying green beans for like 5 kwai, now they're getting them for 4, their friends are still getting charged 5 kwai. That IE won. She won all the face. The bargaining face is super, super key. And then the other thing is like when a boomer woman gets money, what they'll often do is try to join travel groups to go abroad. So they'll usually know little to nothing about the country that they're going to. That's like a main feature. And that's where you see all these bad like Chinese tourist videos and stuff. But a main feature of a Chinese IE going abroad is that she gets to take all these pictures in these foreign countries that she can post on WeChat on her public like profile, and then all the other IEs will get super jealous because it shows you're cultured, you're elegant, you're not some peasant, you have enough money that can be locked down in the bank. The government freezes actually to let you go travel just to make sure you come back. It shows that you have enough money to do that, right? So these IEs really like, they thrive off the idea that someday they're gonna go abroad and be able to show off like where they went. It's usually places like France and stuff. If you go to France, you can stand in front of the lavender fields or like the Eiffel Tower, and that's serious like IE bucks. Like you can use that for so much face in your IE circles. The other thing is like they still try to play matchmaker. So back in the day, arranged marriages were the way, right? But the new generation does not tolerate arranged marriages. They're not gonna be like, mom, dad, find me a wife or husband. That's just not what people do. People are level-headed and normal now. But like the IEs, they love to play matchmaker. So they'll go to the park, they'll actually set up like ads and stuff and hang them from trees and stuff. And they'll try to sell their kid. They'll be like, yeah, he's like 1.8 meters tall, he makes this much money, he has a house already, he's got a car, and vice versa. Like people will try to sell their daughters and stuff. They'll go talk to the other IE boomers and actually try to like make an arrangement, and it usually doesn't pan out. But that's another huge boomer hobby for like Chinese IE boomers. The thing I want to sum up is that like I was born in 1986. There's a big gap between me and my parents. Like they got to buy a house for like under $100,000 or whatever. Their parents